So, Mr. Bill, you are competing against your protege.
Yes.
How's that going?
Well, normally I'm following him or I'm picking up the breadcrumbs that he leaves behind. He's way out in front of me. But this time I'm a little bit ahead of him. And he's my protege. I want him to win. He will be the national champion ultimately, I predict. Not necessarily here, but someday he will be our national champion and will go to the Worlds representing the United States. And that will make me feel very proud because, I think I've taught him well. I don't know.
So, but it's still competition. You still want to
It's
win.
competition. It sure is. Blake Aldridge is who we're talking about. And, I'm real proud of him. He's got a new balloon and a new job. He just graduated with masters. I got to brag a little bit. He got a Bachelor of Science and a master's in 3.5 years. So he's a pretty sharp kid, and he caught on well flying the balloon. And I took him out west to get his license when he was 16, and he flew with the instructor about 30 minutes. He came back and said, "Bussey, I need to talk to you." And it kind of frightened me a little bit. He said, "This is the best kid since Red Hartzell." Red Hartzell is a premier top balloonist. And he said, "I'm not training him for private pilot anymore. I'm training him to be a commercial pilot, which when he's 18, he can come back and apply for it." He didn't. He was a breeze, And he's backed it all up with his flying. He's really pretty good. And it's rare that I'm ahead of him.
That's but you are right now.
I am right now, but we'll see if that holds.
It's.
I hope to move up rather than down. He's going to move up.
Well, you guys have had one flight, so.
Yeah, I know.
But you got pretty close to the target. You were right over it, right? One of them, anyway.
Well, I had a second and a fifth out of 55. Now, it's hard to blame my navigator because I don't understand all that electronics, from the old days. And this computer stuff's over my head. I can fly the balloon, but I don't understand the computer aspect of it.
So you're still
and
wetting your finger?
we have to declare, wet my finger like this, and you have to declare a spot in the sky, several kilometers away at a certain point. We declared it slightly past the line. You have a longitudinal line, you have it, and you got to make your declaration of not the next target, but the following target. So it's a pilot declared goal spot in the sky, and you try to fly to it. And you have 2D, 3D definition of it, and you have to be below 900 feet. So, they can have it above it, but you don't get as many points. It gives you a greater distance.
You have to fly right through this imaginary.
Yeah, exactly.
Spot.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, how many targets are typically lined up for you guys?
Usually 4 or 5. We had 4 the other day, and it started falling apart as if you understand falling apart in our nomenclature means that the weather pattern has shifted, and just like yesterday when they canceled it, the wind was out of the south, but when I got to the south launch spot, the wind was circling around to the southeast. Then it went to the east. Then it went to east-southeast. So it was moving around, and it was very difficult to follow. And we were all going to miss it based on the changing weather.
Everybody was in the wrong place to take off.
Everybody was in the wrong place, and the weather pattern with all the cumulonimbus clouds surrounding us and pushing and shoving the air. Well, we're part of it. We're a speck in the sky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Yeah, I was watching the pieballs go up, and they were just going.
Oh yeah, they're going
almost opposite directions.
Yeah,
and 15 minutes.
For definition, pieball means pilot balloon. These are little toy balloons full of helium. We let them go up, and we read the compass
Thank
on
you
the
for
direction.
clarifying my questions. I do appreciate
Yeah.
So, now, getting back to Blake, you are a little bit old school, and
A little bit.
You don't like the electronics so much, so you have some help. So who is it that's helping you navigate?
I have my crew chief, Kathy Aldridge. She navigates for me. She does all the computer work. I do the flying. And she tells me, and we kind of get a little argument every once in a while up there. I say, that's not right. She said, yes, it is. And I don't know. So we're having a lot of fun with it, but we're not there yet. We're making some mistakes. I like to say not in flying, but with the computers, we're making some mistakes. But we're getting better at it. And when we go to Indianola, we'll have, 9 days of 5-part tasks every day. I think we'll do well there.
Well, it's and of course that last name sounds very familiar. It's Blake's mom.
It's Blake's mom. Right,
It's Blake against his mom.
Yeah, and Larry, who's deceased, was my crew chief for like 31 years, and he was the best of the best. And now I have his wife, his sister, and her husband, and all three of them together are not as good as Larry was.
Yeah, they'll get there.
Okay.
They'll get there.
Yeah, but I like them. I like them. They're a good crew. They're a wonderful crew. They take good care of me, and I need help.
So with Blake's mom as your navigator, do you think she's gonna throw the race?
No, she wouldn't do that. We try to beat Blake every time we can. She's very aware of it. She used to, every time he'd get near a power line, she'd say, oh my God, he's too close to those power lines, or a tower or something like that. And so I said, he's fine, he knows everything to do. And he is fine, I'm not the least bit worried about Blake, She is, oh mama hen, and so she gets distracted a little bit every once in a while, and to fly the flight we fly, it requires attention to detail all the time, 100% of the time. So that's a distraction when we bring Blake into the conversation.
Yeah, right.
But we do,
This other
because we love him,
Yeah.
So
Well, sure. Yeah. I mean, he's like you're like his uncle or something.
Yeah.
You guys have been around
Yeah.
because he was born into baloney.
Right, exactly. And my brother and my oldest son are safety officers, so they're running around on the ground. I got to please them too, So.
A lot of family going on.
Oh my gosh, yeah, the whole thing.
So you said you're in second and fifth place. I don't quite understand that.
Second and fifth on the first two targets. I'm basically tied for last place on one of either the third or fourth target, and I didn't do very well on the third or fourth target, one of the other ones,
So where does that place you?
So that averages out to 29th place out of 56 actually, because we include the world champion from France.
Mm-hmm.
He's
can
not in
rank,
the money,
but
he's scoring.
Yeah.
Beating him too.
Look at you. So then Blake, what place is Blake in?
39.
39th. Okay. So you guys are close there.
Yeah, but it won't end up that way.
Well, no, and
he will pass me. I hope to move up, but he will leapfrog me, I'm sure.
Well, it's just an unusual situation.
Oh, it is. It's fun. It's fun. Friendly competition, So, I say, I'm going to beat you this flight. No, you're not. And usually he's right.
Well, he did have a little problem on his flight the other day in that his electronics went down.
Yes.
So your map did not go down.
That's right. I still got the old way of the map.
Hanging onto that thing and licking your finger.
Kathy's yelling at me, go right, your bearing's this and your track's that. And so, I have to mentally follow the bearing to the target, and I'm tracking to the left, or I'm tracking to the right. I got to move it over the center line. I know I've got to hook it when I come into the target. So I have to plan all that,
Mm-hmm.
And Blake's battery went out on his laptop computer Oh, so, and I had a little problem too, but I'm not going to discuss it right now.
Well, okay, I guess. Well, it was very forthcoming, but it's okay. But you know, you got the paper map, and that's not going to fail.
No, I use a map, but I also have that map on the computer. Kathy's using that. I'm looking at the map and said, oh, I see that church steeple. I see that water tower. You know, I'm right of that. I need to be, and I have a pair of binoculars. They're nautical binoculars that have a compass in them. And so I look forward to the target. I take a compass reading, you know, at the bottom of the binoculars, and I follow that line on the computer, you know, basically, and then I set up for right or left on approach to the target. That's when you come down low over the target.
So it's kind of a confirmation system for you then.
Well, yes, yeah, we've got backup plans on all this stuff, and it's kind of like a game of golf in that when you first take off, you just want to be in the fairway. You don't keep it right or left or down the middle of the fairway, and then when you get close to the green, when you pitch, well, that's when you start descending and coming into the target. Then you putt. That's your throw when you get to the target. So you try to keep it right down the middle, then you come in, you pitch it up on the green, and now it's the throwing arm, you know, and not hitting the ground with the balloon, the basket.
So I guess it's not happening now, but at some point in time, there's going to be a passing of the baton.
Yes, it's very soon, unfortunately, and I hate to even think about it, but. Yeah, that's true. And I see the end coming. I don't know when it is, probably a year from now, a year and a half. I want to qualify for the national championships at Scotts Bluff. I love my crew up there, you know, and I would go up there just for them, you know, because I want to see them, you know. And that's tough flying up there. I had 2 17-mile-an-hour landings last year. Now, for you to realize what that's like getting in the basket and get a pickup truck going 17 miles an hour and pushing the basket off the back.
Yeah.
And then you hang on, you know.
Yeah, right, because that thing just gets dragged.
So, you know, and I have done 42 miles an hour before, which is, you don't want to do that.
No, I would
you don't want to do that. That's a world record attempts, you know, stuff like that. That's where you get, well, I don't know, they're out there. You know, that's where you get those things. Which I don't want to do that anymore either. Fastest. But I can. Yeah. I know there's some records I can beat. You know,
the fastest drag.
They're mine, but I can beat them.
Well, yeah. You think Blake's going to beat some of yours?
I don't think he's interested in the world records. First of all, it costs. You're just wasting money, and it's you plan a flight. It takes you approximately 4 years to do the flight. You know, and you know I have a meteorologist who's deceased, but he was I used the Black Magic team from New Zealand in the America's Cup. He's their meteorologist, and they won 29 races in a row. They lost one on a protest, but they attribute it to my meteorologist, who they use. So Bob Rice had. I nominated him for the Ballooning Hall of Fame. He's a weatherman, and he was accepted. So then I presented him to it. So I'm real happy about that. You know.
So anything else you'd like to add about Blake?
Blake?
Flying with Blake and against Blake?
Well, the future's bright for him, both in his line of work and especially his hobby of flying the balloon. He's very serious about it. And through the Young Gun program, which I initiated here in Longview, we have taught Blake and other young pilots serious competition. They are using electronics far superior, electronic scoring far superior to what we use in the Great Texas Balloon Race. And so they do well in the young guns, and they jump right into the big boy competition, which is not true at the Great Texas Balloon Race.
There you go. Nice.
So my prediction for Blake is exactly what I told you. he will be a national champion someday.
I'll try not to tell him that.
Okay. Well, I heard every word you said.
Go in the big head.